Okay, so far everything's just been about going through the various buttons and everything. Let's get the basics of making some music. So every time you want to do something in Pro Tools, you need to make a track. If you were to, so you come over to the track drop down and go to new. And here you have some choices. Are you going to record audio, like a vocal through a microphone or mic up a guitar amp? No, we're not. We're going to use instruments. This is where you're going to use your VIs. So I'm going to choose instrument. I'm going to go ahead and make three just to make in anticipation of making some other videos. I'm going to go ahead and just say let's use stereo tracks. Although we'll talk about offline about why you would choose that. I'm going to hit create. And I didn't make three, I made two. But that's okay. I know how to make tracks. I always recommend that you name your tracks early. So we're going to start with drums. I will put in keys. And actually, we're going to start with keys. So right now, I have a tempo of 120. I think it's important to have a click track so that you can have some reference in terms of how you are making your music, especially if you're going to play through a keyboard. For now, I'm going to kind of demonstrate drawing, but I can show you how to record as well. Actually, I'm not even going to listen to that, but I think it's important nonetheless. I'm going to change my tempo to something a little bit more, a little slower, maybe 90. And I am going to go to the MIDI editor. So I had mentioned that there are two main windows. There's the edit window, which is what we're looking at here, and there's the mix window. What I am most interested in right now to input some MIDI data is the MIDI editor. If you had made audio tracks, the MIDI editor would not be available. In the MIDI editor, you can see that there's a pencil over here on the left on the track list, and there's this dot. Because the pencil is on the drum track, it is trying to communicate with the drum track. There is no instrument in either, so it's not going to work for either of these. So we need to head and get an instrument. So I am going to head multi-channel. So by the way, these are called the inserts. So you want to see the insert column. I'm going to insert, just start with expand. And I'm going to go to under preset where it says factory default. You have all of these categories. I'm just going to choose a simple E piano. But you can use anything. And I am going to go back to my MIDI editor and make my point that I can still not really hear anything because this pencil is trying to communicate with the drum track where there is no instrument. If I click on this line for the keys, now I have a key track. And let me go ahead and I will insert. No, I'm not going to do that. Let's stick to one thing at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a couple of chords. I'm going to start with A minor 7. I'll do that in a second. So there's a couple ways you can input notes. You can either pick up the pencil and draw the length of the note that you want. That's, of course, assuming that you see just the simple pencil tool. Because if I did click and hold on this, the line tool behaves differently. That puts in the value of the grid that you have set up. So hopefully some of these things are looking familiar based on the instructions, the tutorials of the edit window. We have the smart tool, we have the pencil tool, which I'm going to put back on freehand. This stuff is the default velocity that your notes are inputted into. This is the default note value that you would draw if you were using, at least how I understand it. I don't always use the pencil. I might just use the smart tool and double click in here and then open up my note. I find that very, very easy. And if I had this set to say bars and I double clicked, I would be drawing in measure long notes, but I just kind of leave it as it is. So I'm going to put A, and by the way, these work the same way. If I'm using the grabber tool, I can, drag a note back to where I want it to be. I can also hit Option, click to duplicate. So I have A, C, E. That is my A minor chord. I'm going to add the 7th of G. Okay. Then I am going to put in, and I'm just going to put in a couple of chords because I'm not trying to teach the music part here, just a little bit of how to input notes and such. So I'm going to put D, F sharp, A, and C, which is D7. And I'm going to draw that out for a measure, or I'm going to trim it. Technically, it's not trimming. The interesting that the UI is kind of goofing out on me. I'm just going to keep this to 2 chords just for the demonstration. I don't like that chord. What did I do wrong? D, F sharp, A, C. D, F sharp, A, C. Maybe it's because I don't like how high the C is. Yeah, that sounds better to me. So that's just making an inversion out of it. But forget all that. We're just focusing on how to input data because you guys have some music background. So I'm just going to duplicate that. The way that I duplicated that, I highlighted it in the edit window with the grabber tool. Command D allowed me to duplicate the entire clip. Let's say I wanted to cut the clip in half. I could use the selector tool. I'm in grid mode, so I know that I just placed it on beat 1 of measure 4. I hit Command E, which is an edit under separate. If I was trying to do that right now, it would be Command E. And I could duplicate, that particular chord. But I just undid. Command Z is your friend. All right, so that is how to input some notes.